It was a stormy night, and the city lay shrouded in darkness. The howling winds carried a biting chill, and the streets were deserted, save for a few flickering street lights struggling to pierce the gloom. Rain poured relentlessly, creating puddles that reflected the occasional flashes of lightning. Kim Taehyung, the Mafia King, feared by all, stumbled through a dark alley, clutching his side to stem the flow of blood from a deep wound. His once pristine black suit was soaked and torn, the red stain on his side spreading ominously. Betrayal cut deeper than the knife that had plunged into him. One of his most trusted men, someone he had considered family, had turned against him. Anger boiled in his chest, but it was muted by the overwhelming pain and the bitter sting of betrayal. His breaths were shallow, and his body grew colder with every step. The usually composed and invincible Mafia King was reduced to leaning against the rough wall, his vision blurry and his strength fading. Damn it, he muttered through gritted teeth. This weather is not helping at all. Slumping to the ground, he closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of his body giving in to exhaustion. Meanwhile, Cutie was hurrying home after a long day at her cozy cafe. The storm had made her late, and her usual shortcut through the dark alley seemed even darker tonight. The lavender scented scarf around her neck offered little comfort against the biting wind. She clutched her bag tightly and quickened her pace, her mind replaying the events of the day. Her cafe had been bustling with customers, and with her only employee on leave, she had been left to handle everything alone. She was exhausted, but the thought of curling up in her warm apartment kept her going. As she entered the alley, her steps faltered. In the dim light, she saw a figure slumped against the wall. Her heart skipped a beat. The logical part of her mind screamed to keep walking, but her compassion won. She approached cautiously, her breath hitching, as she saw the man's bloodied form. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked hesitantly, her voice trembling. At her words, Taehyung opened his eyes. Even in his weakened state, his gaze was piercing, sending a chill down her spine. "Do I look okay to you?" he rasped, his tone laced with sarcasm. Cutie swallowed hard, but the concern in her eyes didn't waver. "You are hurt. You need help." "No doctors," he said firmly, his voice edged with pain. "What? Are you crazy? You are bleeding." "It's normal for me," he replied, his lips curling into a faint, almost mocking smirk. "Just leave." Cutie crossed her arms defiantly. "I'm not letting you die here. My apartment is nearby. Come on." Her determination took him by surprise. Despite the storm and the danger of his identity, she seemed genuinely concerned. He chuckled weakly. "Do you know who I am? You might regret this." She shrugged. "I will regret it more if I let someone die in front of me." With effort, she hooked his arm over her shoulder and wrapped her other arm around his waist to support him. He was heavier than she expected, and his broad frame made the task even more challenging. Still, she managed to guide him to her small apartment, ignoring the rain soaking through her clothes. Once inside, Cutie guided him to her couch. Her apartment was warm and inviting, the scent of lavender mixing with the aroma of rain-soaked earth. It was a small space, but filled with personal touches. A bookshelf crammed with novels, a vase of fresh flowers on the table, and soft lighting that gave the room a cozy glow. Taehyung glanced around, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. He noticed how neat and modest it was, a stark contrast to the chaos of his life. Wait here, she said, heading to a drawer and pulling out a first aid kit. When she returned, she knelt in front of him and opening the kit. Take off your shirt, she said firmly. Taehyung raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement breaking through his pain. You are bold. She blinked, momentarily flustered. You need first aid. That's why I'm asking. He smirked. I didn't imply otherwise. Slowly, he unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a chiseled chest marred by the angry gash on his side. Her breath caught for a moment, but she quickly composed herself. This might hurt, she warned, soaking a cotton ball in antiseptic. I can handle it, he replied, his voice steady. As she worked on cleaning the wound, the room fell silent, except for the sound of her soft breaths and the occasional wince from him. She was careful but thorough, her fingers brushing against his skin as she bandaged the injury. Taehyung's eyes never left her. He admired her focus, her gentle touch, and the way her brows furrowed in concentration. There, she said, sitting back with a sigh. That should hold for now. You are good at this, he remarked. I have had my share of clumsy moments, she admitted with a small smile. They sat in silence for a moment before she spoke again. So, who are you really? His dark eyes locked onto hers, a flicker of mischief in their depths. Do you really want to know? She nodded, curiosity overcoming her caution. I am the king, he said, his tone light, but his gaze serious. The Mafia King. She blinked, then laughed nervously. You are joking. He didn't smile. Do I look like I am joking? Her laughter died, replaced by a mix of disbelief and intrigue. Oh, so that explains the alley and the injury. You are not scared. Should I be? She countered, meeting his gaze. A ghost of a smile played on his lips. Most people would be. Well, you didn't hurt me, she said simply. Their eyes lingered on each other, the air between them thick with unspoken tension. Finally, she broke the gaze, standing abruptly. You must be hungry. Let me make something. The aroma of warm soup soon filled the room, mingling with the lavender. She brought two bowls to the small coffee table, sitting across from him. Here, she said, handing him a bowl. He took it, their fingers brushing briefly. Thank you. They ate in comfortable silence, the earlier tension still present, but softened by the warmth of the meal. This is good, he said after a few bites. It's just soup, she replied, smiling. It's more than that, he murmured, his eyes meeting hers. For a moment, neither spoke. The world outside seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in the quiet, lavender scented space. By the next morning, Taehyung was gone, leaving behind a neatly folded blanket and a note. Thank you for everything, beautiful. Cutie's heart sank, but she smiled softly, tucking the note away. The bell above the door jingled, pulling Cutie's attention away from the register. She looked up, and her breath hitched. Kim Taehyung stood in the doorway, looking effortlessly handsome in a tailored black suit. His dark hair was styled perfectly, his aura commanding yet calm. You again? She said, her voice tinged with surprise. Miss me? He replied, his smirk making her stomach flip. I thought you had disappeared, she said, crossing her arms. Why would I? He said, stepping closer. I had to thank you properly. And he paused, his eyes glinting with mischief. Ask you out to dinner. Cutie's cheeks warmed. but she refused to let him see how flustered she was. Dinner with the Mafia King? Don't worry, he said, leaning closer. I will behave, maybe. She could not suppress her smile. Fine, but don't expect me to go easy on you. I would not dare, he replied, his deep voice sending a shiver down her spine. Their dinner was filled with laughter, stolen glances, and conversations that felt far too comfortable for two people who had only just met. As they shared stories, their gazes lingered longer, their touches growing bolder. By the end of the night, they both knew this was the start of something neither of them had expected, but both of them desperately needed.